5 modules of the Incoming Board Toolkit for the PWOC Leadership Development Program. The Incoming Board Toolkit is part of a larger body of resources that will provide continuous training for your leaders throughout the course of a team's year together in ministry. If you haven't already watched or read the introduction to the Incoming Board Toolkit, please do so now. In this video, we will go over the Module 3 in your toolkit. This module is titled Seek. It is designed to answer the question, where do we begin? Once you complete this module, you will have clarified your position and identified the information you have and the information you need to seek out. You'll do this by exploring your continuity binder, if you received one, and asking yourselves key questions. This will likely be the shortest module, but it may also result in the most homework. If you haven't already, open up your toolkit and find these 2 pages. You will also find a worksheet to accompany this section of the toolkit in your participant packet. You will be directed to complete this worksheet later in the module. Let's take a closer look at the infographic for this module. This figure features 7 categories of information input: prayer and accountability, financials, data, guidance from chaplain sponsor, team information, calendars, and other resources. In a moment, I will ask you to set a 2-minute timer and pause this video. During those 2 minutes, everyone should independently look over the infographic. As you're reading, make a rough mental assessment of what information you believe you have or have access to, and what information you don't. Set your timer and pause to read now. We are going to pause again in a moment for a time of sharing. If you need an icebreaker, this is your opportunity. Go around the room and state your name and role on the team. Then continue by sharing your personality type from any previous test you've taken, like Myers-Briggs, DISC, green, red, blue, yellow, lion, otter, beaver, retriever. For example, I would say, "Hey guys, my name is Alexis, and I'm the leadership trainer for the team. I am an INFJ, that's also a green beaver." Icebreakers are important, but they're not the main event, so set a timer and stick to it. Press pause now. On the Where Do We Begin page, we will begin with the left-hand column. Do you love prepositional phrases? I love them. I love to be prepositioned and know exactly where to stand. That's what this section is all about. Let's read together. Before taking action as leaders, we must preposition ourselves for success. We must understand where we are at. We follow other leaders. We walk next to our peers. We are under a chaplain. We are over God's beloved. We are behind the scenes. We are in front of our teams. We are first to serve. We are last to be served. He must increase. We must decrease. To decrease, we adopt the posture and mentality of a seeker, of not knowing, but desiring wisdom and insight. Most of the rest of this page is a list of key questions. These are examples of questions you should be asking yourselves. In a moment, I will ask you to press pause. During that pause, go around the room and have each person read one question, circling back around until all of them are read. Do not attempt to answer them right now. These are just to pre-position your brain to seek. Press pause and read now. We will now move into the most important part of our module, where we work things out together. For the first block of time, you might choose to work in small groups. Then we will come back into a large group discussion. For the small group work, we will use the Module 3 worksheet from the participant packet. Along the left-hand side of the page, you will see the 7 categories of information you're seeking. Along the top, you'll see columns for questions you should ask, as well as a spot to log who you should ask and its importance. For now, you'll just focus on filling out the first 2 columns. Write down the questions you should ask, and write down who you think is responsible for the answer. Notice the difference between someone who has the answer and someone who is responsible for the answer. You might have a very knowledgeable friend who has an answer, but if she's not the one ultimately responsible for the answer, then that can lead to problems. For example, for scheduling purposes, you might be wondering when your local school district has fall break. Your friend next to you might have a child in that school district, so you ask her for the information. However, is she ultimately responsible for that information? No. You need to check the local district webpage or call their central office for a calendar. In a moment, you will set a timer for this exercise based on how much time you have and the level of experience you have with PWOC in the room. I would suggest 20 minutes to start. This is one of the only instances in training in which I will suggest homogeneous grouping. However you choose to group yourselves, it might make sense to have people with similar roles or similar experiences together. For example, having your in-reach and outreach leaders working together will allow them to build off of each other's questions. Having your president and Titus II together will help them push into deeper questions that need answers. Other good pairings might be the first and second vice presidents, the admin coordinator and the financial liaison, hospitality and participation, and so on. Set your timer and press pause now. Let's come back together for a large group discussion. If your body language or seats are still positioned for small groups, go ahead and make the adjustment back toward the group center. Pre-position yourself to be part of this conversation. In this discussion, you're going to popcorn share the questions you came up with during your small group time. If you have access to a large whiteboard, now is the time to use it. If more than one person came up with a question or something similar, decide as a team who will be assigned to gather that information. If you are gathering the answer, ask your president when you need to have the answer by and the venue in which it will be shared. For example, at the next board meeting or in the private social media group by Friday, etc. In a moment, I will have you press pause. This exercise is complete when every question on every paper has been shared. Try not to focus on gathering answers now, but only on honoring that the information is needed. Senior leaders, if you have answers to questions being asked, if you are responsible for the information, don't give the answers now. Tell your team how to reach out to you to get the answers to their questions. Call me. Catch me after this training event. Let's get coffee tomorrow, and so on. This will help you guard your time. Press pause now. To wrap up this module, I leave you with this nugget of wisdom from Proverbs 4:7. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. And whatever you get insight. Get wisdom. Get insight. Whatever you do, obey those 2 commands. Be a seeker and pre-position yourself properly for success.